Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport indeed. Today we're going to have a look at all the crashes from the Macau weekend. We've got a lovely selection of Formula 3, touring cars, GT racing and bikes all round the tough streets of Macau, where chaos usually reigns. Now it has to be said that this year so we start with the touring cars, and here's the godfather of touring cars, Tarquini, straight into the wall, doing his car no favours. And here's Arthur Law, the Hong Kong driver, just scraping the side of the wall, and that's enough to damage his car, put him out of the practice session. Here's another Honda driver, Tang, with Team TRC. Again, just dragging it across the wall, damages the front and the suspension. And here we have Wong's Ford, head on into the wall, plenty of damage. Almost hits the Mini as it tries to squeeze through. Now here's Benani, who did not have a good weekend, spinning it round into the middle of the track, enough to get the session stopped. Here's Chong's Subaru, sideswiping the wall. Lots of different techniques here. Here we have Azcona, sending his Seat straight into the wall as well. Now here's Dahlgren and Jim Kato getting together down the straight, spinning Kato into the barriers. Another Seat getting involved, and that Honda looking pretty second hand. And here's Lukta in his Volkswagen, bouncing off the wall. Looks good to continue, but it wouldn't for much longer. Now here's the big one, Shedden, straight into the wall. The rear end spins out slightly into the middle of the track. Mikulits comes around the corner unsighted. Both cars damaged, blocking the entire road so no one else can get through. Some pretty hefty damage on the Audi and the Hyundai, and the session would have to be stopped while they're craned out of the way. Now here's Alves Diaz in the Mini, taking out another Mini. The pair of them just parking it into the wall, and for such a slow crash, quite a substantial amount of damage. Another Mini getting into trouble. This is Valente being spun by a Mitsubishi, just avoiding the wall. Here's another one, Lukta again and Azcona again, with Vinay getting trapped by the pair. Azcona would get going, leave Lukta in the wall, as would Vinay. The first corner at Macau always causes chaos. Here's a rogue Audi, spinning it back into the middle of the track, hitting the Honda. Several cars bumping into each other there. Bit of a mess. Now here's Benani and Tassi making contact, almost spinning Tassi round. The pair of them shooting down the escape road. And that's where we'll leave them as we move on to GT racing. Don't watch the Ginetta in the front, watch the Ginetta behind. There he is, there's Chong, spinning his Ginetta gently into the barriers. And here's another Ginetta scraping the wall, getting away with it this time. Another rogue car. Here's the Macau master, Eduardo Mortara. He's won it 4 times. This time parking it in the barrier. Just leaving enough room for the other cars to get through there. Here's Chen in his Audi, hitting the wall pretty hard. It's a fast corner towards the end of the lap, burying it deep inside. It's going to need a hand getting out of that one. Now here's a Porsche. You can just see it in the background, hitting the wall, spinning round, doing loads of damage. collapsing the rear suspension on one side. And here's Chen again. There's Mara Engel and Mortara getting into it. Here's Chen spinning it round, just catching the barrier, doing a small amount of damage. Here's Engel and Mortara again. This time Mortara hitting the back of another car and hitting Engel straight on. That was a big hit for two very experienced drivers. Mortara parked there. Engel managed to make it most of the way down the escape road. Plenty of damage. And here's a Ginetta and a Lotus getting together under safety car conditions. The Ginetta having broken suspension. The Lotus looking like it's not going much further either. Now here's Chang's Aston Martin. Looks like it's racing well, looking quick. Hitting the wall on the way out, losing a wheel, hitting it so hard. That's a lot of damage. As we see it from another angle, you can see just loses the back, slides into the wall, takes the wheel off. Very expensive repair job for the Aston Martin. And here's a Porsche. Here's Kevin Estre. Another one losing a wheel. The speeds of Macau and the tightness of the circuit produce an interesting challenge for the drivers. Kevin Estre sliding along the wall there. Leaving his wheel behind. Another expensive repair job in store. Now as we see the chaos at the front, the two out Porsches at the leading, but there's Piccarello in the Mercedes hitting the wall, blocking the Audi off. We'll leave them there as we move on to bike racing. And starting here, we have Silva Perez picking up his bike after an accident. Looks very heavy, and we can see him here as he comes around the hairpin, just entering it now, puts the power down too early, flicks himself off. That sounded wrong. And it leaves Silva picking up his bike, trying to get back into it. And here we have Hodson falling off the bike and sending it back into the path of Saveni. Both drivers falling into the barrier. It was probably very uncomfortable. But the big pile up of the day. And just watch the bike coming around the corner now, nowhere to go, flips right over it. Quite a mess as we move on to our final category, the single seaters. Starting with Yuki Tsunoda sliding into the wall. A pretty hard shunt to start us off, losing the front wing. And here's his teammate Max Futrell. He's gone into the barrier. Another one at that first corner at Macau, Lisboa. And here is David Beckman. Another fatality at this corner. And just catching him is Dan Ticktum as he comes through. Destroys the back end of his car. Both of them would have been very hopeful to get further up the grid in qualifying. And here's a mass crash. Lots of cars getting into one another. One car spinning out. And as you can see, just no space to go at Lisboa. And now the Macau parking lot can begin, as all the cars have nowhere to go. And the red flags will come out. It leaves quite a mess. Luckily the cranes at Macau are used to it and work very quickly. They need to work again, especially for Felipe Drugovich. Same corner, same issue, straight into the wall. Now as we move on to the race, that little bit of contact between Robert Schwartzman and Christian Lundgaard was enough to take the 2019 Formula 3 champion out of the race. Barely more than a light touch. It's broken the front ring, and that's Schwartzman's race over. One of the favourites out. Less favoured is Leonardo Pulcini. Again, Lisboa sliding into the wall. Not as bad as Ferdinand Habsburg. Hitting the wall hard, leaving flames behind. Lucky to walk away. And we'll leave with Verschoor taking the win, pulling into the pit lane after the full race. And we'll leave it with that. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more. There's other crash compilations and a whole wealth of stuff on my channel now. So remember to subscribe and have a good one.